Well, the crisis created by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown has seen unprecedented interventions by government to provide relief for people. You will have seen pictures here on Newzroom Africa of thousands of people queuing for a grant or queuing just to apply for the grant of 350 rand a month. The child support grant and other grants are being increased. All of this shows how our country is still, well, wrapped and consumed by inequality and poverty. Dr. Makhosi Khoza is a former ANC MP, someone who's been part of the governance of our country for many years, has a particular interest in leadership. She joins us now. Dr. Khoza, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time today. Do you believe the social relief efforts from government, the new social grants, the grant increases, are they the right way to try and help people during this time?
Well, first of all, let me say that it is an intervention that should be welcomed from the government. However, because we are using a very fragmented approach, this is going to prove to be unsustainable in the long term. I wish the government could have considered a comprehensive social wage approach wherein you review the child support grant, but you then ensure that those that are unemployed also do get the social wage. But currently what has been happening is that we have increased the child support grant and the other related pensions, but we have not necessarily thought about the implications of that going forward.
When you say the implications, I mean, are you proposing some sort of basic income grant, or are you proposing something a bit different?
You know, I am actually proposing a consolidated social wage approach, because at the end of the day, it's not enough to give the unemployed this 350 rands now, then post-COVID-19, we take it back. I mean, number one, that is a good trigger of social unrest. People are going to go out and they are going to revolt. But the government ought to have looked back and checked whether what is going to be sustainable going forward, rather than introducing temporary measures, because the problem of poverty and inequality is not a temporary issue. It is an issue that has been going on, and you can't then suddenly take it off from people after the COVID-19, you know. So I'm saying that is a trigger of social unrest right there before you.
So what would then be, in your view, sustainable? I mean, would increase social grants? I know that some people would say the tax base is getting smaller. I don't know if that's entirely true. But I mean, what for you would be sustainable? And we'll get to economic growth in a moment, but what kind of grant system do you think does have a chance of actually, I mean, it shouldn't just be about staving off that unrest, about making a proper, long-term, big difference in people's lives?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, let's face the reality that we are living in a high-tech society age right now. The truth is a lot of jobs, in any case, are being lost because, you know, there is new technology that is taking those jobs, and our people are not skilled enough to take the opportunities that are presented by the technological advancement space. So it's very important to think about sustainability issues. Hence, I am saying the social wage approach is correct. However, the approach that the government has used, I think it's very, very wasteful in my view, because you have now added the 500 rands over and above the normal child support grant that people were getting in any case. To me, I would have gone for an approach that at least integrates these grants. In other words, you make sure that you keep the child support grant at the rate in which it was, instead of creating an expectation. But then you address those that are unemployed, the 350 rands that we have given to the unemployed. And that way, we are going to find a way of having to sustain this grant going forward. Because let's face it, there is no way you can go and look for a job if you do not even have the money for the taxi fare to get you to the places of employment. And the whole spatial development in South Africa is the biggest challenge, because people are living far away from the economic activity centers, which is why they need money for taxi fare to get to those places where they can seek employment.
There are several elements there. I mean, the Gauteng provincial government, for example, has been talking about growing what they call the township economy. I mean, from what you're saying, that would probably be the correct approach. I do need to ask about what economists, I think they use the phrase structural unemployment. And they talk about how the rate of people who don't have jobs in South Africa has gone up under every government since the 1970s. That would show that we have deep-seated problems that we just aren't actually dealing with in terms of growing the economy. And I imagine you might say education is one of them?
One of the things that I've been advocating for, and in fact, one of the things that made me to even consider leaving the ANC, it's because I never understood why we have not invested in developing, in actually changing the education system. Obviously, our education system is not aligned with the demands of the economy. And secondly, we have a very, very low output of mathematics. And if we are going to be encouraging an entrepreneurial culture, you need to invest a lot in mathematics. And the government has not necessarily done that. And as you know, probably you know, that we are number last in South Africa in mathematics in the world for more than 5 consecutive years, according to the World Economic Forum Global Economic Competitive Survey. So I'm saying we need to fix the education system. If a minister is not producing the results, why do you keep that minister? Why do you keep that minister? We've gotten ourselves trapped in this cycle of encouraging mediocrity, encouraging incompetence, and we are not necessarily encouraging people that are going out there and making a difference. Like, for example, the MEC for Education in Gauteng, Lusufi, is one of my favorite MECs, and you can see even with the results that are beginning to come up from that province, because he has ensured that he focuses on education. But nationally, the picture is very bad.
So, Dr. Khoza, just so that I don't misunderstand you, you're suggesting if it were up to you, you would replace Angie Motshekga with Panyaza Lesufi?
You are now putting me into a lot of trouble. Obviously, we have kept the Minister of Basic Education for 2 consecutive terms, and to me, I haven't seen any difference. I do not understand. Why would you do that? You understand? And believe you me, I'm saying this because personally, I've been extremely frustrated with engaging with the Department of Education, because I was even saying, let's use Zulu, let's use Black African languages to demystify mathematics, to introduce geometry, because our mothers that have very little contact with education, they are able to produce these geometric shapes without any difficulty. And the problem is that there is a disconnect between the culture of a society, the majority of the people in society, and that of education. If you are doing that, you are literally alienating the mother, the parent, from the child, because the child is learning something else at school, and at home the child might be benefiting from the knowledge base that the parents have, but we are not leveraging on that. So in short, I am thinking that, unfortunately, I love Angie Motshekga, but I think she has overstayed in that department, and she's not making any difference.
Oh, Dr. Khoza, you're going to trend on Twitter, you know. It's been some time since you last did that, but I suspect it may happen again. I do want to ask a slightly serious question. You talk about education. I don't think anyone can take away the importance of education in this. The other thing is that as South Africans, it seems to me, we spend literally years of our lives arguing about economic policy. Why can't we just agree on what to do?
You know, the biggest problem, and I'm talking now from an informed position, because you must understand, I was in the ANC for over 35 years, and I was socialized in this communist policy, communist philosophy. And the reality is that that doesn't work.
Sure.
For as long as we are going to think that you are going to keep this harmony, you know, in terms of our ideological orientation, we are not going to be able to implement the policies that work, economic policies that work, because you will always have your very alliance partners fighting with you and saying you cannot do that, and that's where you are not able to move forward.
Dr. Makhosi Khoza, thank you very much indeed for your time. I think you're probably going to trend on Twitter for 2 reasons now. I do appreciate former ANC MP with us there.